Fine. Okay. My camera is not working. I don't know how it's happening. I don't want to disturb the class, but my camera is not working. Okay. I will get it back done, inshallah. Now, what we are going to do in this is that we are talking in terms of evidence. Okay. How the evidence has to be done. Is it right? How the evidence has to be done. What is the importance of evidence, and what are the various financial statement assertions.
Sir, your voice is not clear with us.
Pardon?
I can't hear you.
No, my mic is my speaker is on. Yeah, my speaker is on. Okay, fine. The thing is, what we are doing, it's a very specific, is that the first thing what you are doing is you should understand where we are, fine. Now what we want to do is that what is the audit evidence? Assertions means you have to, what you have to, you have to make sure that things are in place. Is it right? Make sure that things are in place. Okay, that's very important. Is it right? Means you have to assert, yes, this is right, this is there, this is not there. This one exists. Is it right? This one exists and this one is not existing. Very in a simple words. Is that very simple word? This one is existing and this one is not existing. Assertions. The moment we say it is assertions, one question will be there on this. It covers, lecture 7 is so many things. Is that I have divided lecture 7 into 3 or 4 different parts. Okay, the first one is about evidence. Now, when you are doing the things, explain the assertions. What are the various classes of transactions? Is that what are the different types, classes of transactions? What are the accounting balances at the end of the period end? Is that we will have, see what will happen, we will have closing balance. Is that you have so many closing balances will be there for every account. Is it right? You have to make sure that the closing balances has to be verified. Is it right? Has to be complete. Is it? You have to inspect as specific as possible. Okay, you have to observe. That's the very most important thing. You should not take by word that yes, everything is right. Is that is what we are doing? Is that we are talking about the accounting balances at the year end. What is the procedures we'll get? See, whenever you have the audit evidence, what we have done when we say it is audit evidence, we say that it has to be sufficient, it has to be appropriate. Okay, this is what it says, the most important. When you are having the audit evidence, you personally inspect. Is right? These words are very important. Okay, you will inspect, you will observe, you will get external confirmation from the banks or from the third parties. Is that next? You will do recalculation. Is that depreciation? You will do it again, whether you want to make sure that it is right or wrong. You will re-perform the same procedure. Is it right? Whether things are working in place or not. This means you will do the same procedure as such. Is that re-performance? You will do analytical procedures in terms of ratio analysis, and in some cases you will do inquiry. See, these, if you take into these things into consideration, this is the language of auditing. Is that this is the language of auditing? Now, what we will cover this is that what is the quality and what is the quantity of audit evidence. What is the quality? That's very important. Is that if it is something in orally by word of mouth, nobody will rely on that. It has to be in the form of written form. The reliability will be more. Is it right? if the reliability will be more. We will see if it is internal, isn't it? If it is internal, the reliability will be less. If it is external, the reliability will be more. Okay, we will cover this, and they will ask you one question for 8 to 10 marks will be there on this. Is that we will see what is the relevance and what is the reliability of what audit evidence as such. Okay, we are only focusing on evidence, as simple as that. Is that when you do, I will make a bigger one for this. Is it right? What happens when you make it a point is that we are talking about the audit evidence. What is the quality of evidence? Is that how quality means nothing but internally, externally, oral, written. Is it right? Next, we are talking about the audit evidence. We will say what are the assertions, how completeness. Is it right? Rights and obligations. Just I'm giving you. Subsequently we will do in detail. Is it right? You are talking in terms of what? Completeness. It is one of the assertions. Is it right? Remember, and we are going to work on this. Okay? We are talking about the completeness. We are talking about rights and obligations. Is it? You have the asset, but when you have the asset, you should know that whether the asset belongs to the company or not. Is that the asset belongs to the business or not? Like that. Is that we have the and subsequently use of assertions. By these things, what you will do? You will get the audit evidence as such. Is it? This is the first part. The second part is what is the procedure of obtaining evidence. Definitely there will be a procedure, is it right? The procedure will be internally procedures or external procedures, oral procedures, written representation. Maybe I told you somewhere, is it right, that I will discuss this at a later stage. Written representation, is it right? Whenever we are getting a written in writing, the reliability will be more. Okay, that is the way. Now, test of controls and substantive procedures. Government, we will cover at a later stage. Is that we will have the controls. First, you will have the controls. Then, what you will do? You will have test of control. You will test those controls. Those controls are effective or not. Is otherwise called as test of control. Substantive procedures are detailed procedures. What will happen as simple as that? If you will evaluate the risk, is it right? If the risk is less or the risk is high, is it right? If the risk is less, what you are going to do? You will do restricted substantive procedures. Is it right? If the risk is more, what you will do? You will do detailed substantive procedures. Is it? We will cover this, okay, in detail. Is it? Now, what is the test of controls and substantive procedures? What you will do? What are the substantive procedures? You will ask me that analytical process, detail, and you will do the analysis. Is it right? See the thing. One of the things you will do the analysis. Is it right? You will take the confirmation from external parties. Is it right? You will not just rely on the oral information. You will do analytical procedures also in detail. There are two analytical procedures. Is it right? I will come back to that. We will do the inspection as such. Is it right? We will do the inspection as such. We will make an inquiry. Is it right? Whether the evidence that has been provided by the client is related to it or not. In some cases, you are doing depreciation. What do? We do recalculations just to make sure that totally we do the recalculation. First thing what you are doing in any case is first you will do the things out totally. Okay. Then you will do other things. If totals are right, automatically step by step what you will do? You will see that accuracy is well enough to make sure that those assertions are going to be complete. In some cases we will do observations, and in extreme cases, in other cases we do re-performance. Okay, remember these words. It makes the moment you are talking about the audit evidence, reperformance, recalculation, inspection, observations, inquiry, is it right? Analytical procedures and confirmations. Fine. Now, this is what we have done over a period of time. I told you this uh, 1 minute. Is it? This slide will be there all through the time. Okay. This slide. What we are doing? First, we will plan the audit. We will understand the entity. Is it right? We understand the entity. Right? Yes. First, we will plan the audit. Second, we are going to understand the entity. Then we will assess the risk. Is it right? When you are assessing the risk, you will assess whether the risk is at what level. Is that? In assessing the risk, how we will assess the risk? We assess the risk with respect to controls. You will have the test of controls, and subsequently you will have the test of controls. Is that? If test of controls are satisfactory, we will do restricted procedures. If the test of controls are not satisfactory, we will report to the management. When you report to the management, you have different options. Is it? You have to, sometimes you will do substantive procedures, and then subsequently we are talking in terms of reporting to the management. And once you are reporting to the management, then we are going to work it out in the audit report as such. Is it? This is the one slide which gives you a complete understanding about how the audit is going to happen. Is it? This is the thing. Now when you further make it a point, is it? This is the reason the question paper has been delayed from my side. Is it right? I just restructured, I just reformatted my system as such. Is it? Fine, good. Is it? What is the audit evidence? See, now you can see the thing. Whenever we are talking about the audit evidence, there is one specific standard that has been applied here. I told you one thing. Nobody has responded me in that. Please send me group, not to me personally. Please send me post in the group how many standards we have done. Is it right? If you have done IAS 200, write down IAS 200. If you have done IAS 210, is it right? You have done IAS 230, IAS 315. Write like complete. You have to write and you have to post it immediately in the group, at least by the end of the class, or you have to do it at the beginning of the class. Is that right? Very, very important. Just you have to add if you are going to learn, if we are learning the new one. Thank you. Is that audit evidence is the information used by auditor in arriving the conclusion. Now it is not difficult. That's very simple. How we have to get the evidence? As simple as that. Is that it is related to IAS 500. Okay, audit evidence. Auditors auditors have to plan. Okay, that's very important. Auditors have to plan. Auditors have to know which type of procedures we have to do. That's very, very important. Need to design and perform procedures. This is the procedure. Now you will ask me, for receivables, procedure is going to be different. Is that? For payables, procedure is good. We will do this in the examination. They will specifically ask what is the procedure for receivables, what is the substantive procedure for payables. Is that we will learn almost for every other receivables or payables, close assets, for everything we will learn almost every time. They will have at least not less than 10, but in the examination they will not ask 10, they will ask you any 5. Okay, they will mention as per the marks. Is that what is the auditors need to design and perform procedures that are appropriate for what the procedures is to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. As simple as that. Now you have a complete understanding where we are doing. Now when you are doing the things, the evidence has to be two different purposes. Is that the evidence has to be sufficient? Is it right? You are not going to say that I am going to get 100% evidence. It never happens. As simple, okay? Never expect that you will get 100% evidence. So you are satisfactory. It is your judgment. Is it right? The moment you are going to say that yes, it is your judgment that matters for you. Is it right? You will have sufficient information, evidence, fine. You have related appropriate evidence, fine. That's all. Is that we are not going to introspect into detail about what's happening. What we will see that if you are satisfied, then we'll go for. Is it? Now, what it says, the sufficiency of the audit evidence is the measure of quantity. As simple as that. You are not going to say that how much is the audit evidence. Is it right? It is the quantity. How much? Assume you have 10,000 transactions. Very clearly. Is it right? Now, when you are talking about 10,000 transactions, what you will do, you will learn this. Is it right? You will have a concept of sample. Is it right? You will say that the 10% of the transactions I will vouch. Okay? I will vouch 10. Means how many transactions? 1,000 transactions you will do. In some cases, what initially you will not take 10. Okay? Initially you will not take. Initially you will take 2%. How many transactions? You have 200 transactions. Fine? Now, if in these 200 transactions, see the thing, the material misstatement, is it right? The material misstatement is less. Is very less. Fine, you are convinced. You will not go further. But what will happen if the material misstatements is more here? Is it right? Assume that the material misstatements are more here. Immediately what you will do? You increase the sample size. Got my point? You will increase the sample size. The moment you will have a doubt, immediately you will say that yes, I will increase the sample size to how much? 400. Then again you will say yes, if at 400, if the material misstatements, is it right? If the material misstatements are decreasing, fine, that's good. Is that you will not go further? Is that now you understand what is the quantity of evidence? Quantity of evidence depends on the judgment about the material misstatements. Is it? The quantity of evidence required affected by the auditors, assessment of what? Assessment of risk of material misstatements. That's what I told you just now. Is that it is a risk of material misstatements. If the material misstatements is less, you will take that. You will get satisfied. You will say that yes, we will go further. Also also by the quality of such evidence as such. That is why we are talking about a sufficient. Sufficient means it is your own judgment. It all depends on the method of sampling. How many samples you are going to take? I will talk about sampling next lecture. Okay, we are talking about sufficient number of samples, and if you are convinced, you will restrict it. If you are finding it some subjective point, then you will increase the sample size as such. What is the appropriate evidence? Appropriate evidence is also related, is relevant. Is it right? It has to be relevant, means appropriate evidence. We are talking about the appropriate evidence as on 31st December. Is it right? Then we'll say that yes, we will use this word, okay, cut off. It is one of the type of assertion. The cut off. We will make it a point that the transactions that happens here should not be carry forward. We have to have a cutoff. Cutoff is the date as on we are finalizing the financial statements. Is the appropriateness of the audit evidence a measure of the quality? They in a sufficient, is that the moment you are talking in terms of sufficient, Is it? Sufficient talks about what? Sufficient talks about quantity. Is it? Sufficient talks about what? Quantity. Whereas appropriateness talks about what? Appropriate talks about the quality of it. This is the basic difference between sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Is it? Now you can say it has to be relevant. Is it? With respect to logical connections about how relevant means relevant to the period. Okay? Don't get confused. Every point has to be very clear. Concept has to be clear. Relevant means related to the particular year. Is it right? Related to the particular period. And it has to be reliable. Is it right? From which source you are getting the information? That's very important. Is that which source you are getting the information? If you are getting, that's I told you. If you are getting the information from internally from the management, the reliability is less. If you are getting the information from external, is that if you are getting the evidence from the external, what will happen? I will write reliability will be high. Is that? If you are getting evidence orally, the reliability is less. Is it? If you are getting evidence in return, is it right? In return, what will happen? The reliability will be more. Is it right? This much is, now you understand what is the sufficient and what is the appropriate. Is it? Now, what is the reliability? See the thing. What is the quality of evidence? Is it right? If you are getting externally, now you have a complete understanding about the thing. If you are getting externally from some sources, it is more reliable than to obtain entity records, because we are getting externally from the independent source. Now, what are the externally? What are the external? It is the bank confirmation. Is it? Closing balances. Is it? Closing balances at the end of the year. Is it right? You will have internally, you will have the cash book, bank book, but externally you have to get it from the bank directly with the permission of the client. Okay? Directly with the permission of the client. And it is going to be addressed to the auditor as such. Is it? It will be addressed to the auditor. Keep it in mind. These are the technicalities of the subject. Is that when you are getting the things, the bank will not address to the client, the bank will address to the auditor. The external evidence is more reliable. Fine. Auditor or evidence obtained directly by the audit is more reliable than obtained by the indirectly. As an auditor, you are getting the evidence that is more reliable instead of getting it from the client's employees. Is it right? The client's employee information is less reliable. The auditor's direct getting the evidence is more reliable. Entity evidence obtained from the records is more reliable. Now you make it clear. Remember this. The questions will be little bit more spread over the concepts in the next phase. Okay, that's very important. In the next phase, things will be little bit broadened up. Okay, very simple. It's not difficult. You can make it a point. If you are getting from the entity records, it is more reliable. Is that when the related computers, the internal controls are effective, the information which you are getting from the records, is that records is nothing but from the financial statements, ledgers, is it right? From the ledgers, from the registers, is it right? From the ledgers, from the registers, is that is more reliable because you are talking in terms of effective internal control. Written representation is more reliable than oral representation. Understand what? It's very simple. Now first 2-3 slides you be more focused. Other slides is very easy for us. Yes. Okay. Evidence in the form of documents or written representation is more reliable than oral. Since oral representations can be, means today you will say, today they will say one thing, tomorrow they will say another thing. Is that? But written, they cannot change the statement. Original documents are more important than the photocopies. Got my point? These are the sources of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Is it? No. Nothing is there. Very simple. Nothing is there. It's almost you have done with the lecture. This only we are just going into detail. That's all. Is that? Consider the following pieces of information. What do you think about them? Is it right? A verbal affirmation from the finance director that is the company is a going concern. Verbal means oral. Is it? Oral. The oral communication is weak. Is it? The oral communication is less reliable. A written statement from the major customer that owes the company a material amount. Is it? For the company it will be what? For the company it will be receivables. Somebody is going to say, is that X is our client. Is that X customer? Is it right? Yes, X customer is our client. Is it right? We want to know how much is our receivable balance. Is it? For him it is a payables. Is it? For him it is a payable, and for us it is a receivables. His balance and the balance in the books should be same. Got my understanding my point? These are the things which you are going to work it out over a period of time. A year-end bank reconciliation prepared by a junior member of the site which has not reviewed. If there is no review, no revision, is that somebody has not reviewed the bank reconciliation statement. A person who is a junior staff, a junior staff is preparing, a senior member has to review it. Then only what will happen? Senior member has to review it, senior member has to sign it. Then only what will happen? The evidence will be more reliable. Otherwise what will happen? The evidence will be weak. Is it? A verbal automatically, the moment you are talking about verbal, it's nothing but a oral communication. Oral communication is always weak. Okay, oral communication is always weak. Internal communication is always weak. Is it right? And that's all. Okay, internal communication and oral communication is weak. We cannot going to say that we are going to reject it. Is that what is the explanation they have given? Verbal statements of the entity is a going concern has been disclosed don't really provide sufficient appropriate evidence. If you are talking about oral communication, we are oral statements, we are not going to get sufficient appropriate evidence. Okay, verbal communications can be retracted, can be changed from time to time. You will say, I will say that yes, I didn't told like this, I told like this, you understood something else. Is that it may happen? That is one of the differentiation. A written statement from the customer is of an amount outstanding at the year end does provide. Is it right? When we are talking about good audit evidence, is that if you are getting a written evidence, it does provide good audit evidence in writing. Is that? And as simple as that. Original copies are more reliable, photocopies are less reliable. A year-end bank reconciliation prepared by the junior member of the client. If it is not reviewed, it is weak, not that much reliable. Does not provide auditor the assurance over the year-end. In that case, what the auditor will do? See, auditor will never stop the things as it is. What the auditor will do? If it is not reviewed by the senior management, he himself re-perform. He himself redo the bank reconciliation statement just to make sure that the bank reconciliation statement any differences are there or not. Understand my point? Now you can make it as concept very simple. That's what it says. A junior auditor has been assigned to the audit team and cash balances of 1 minute. I will just increase the font size. A junior member has been assigned to the audit of the bank and cash balances of Howard Company. He has obtained the following evidence. Is it right? What is the order of reliability of audit evidence? Is it? Now, when you say order of bank reconciliation carried by the cashier, he himself is doing. Understand why? He himself is doing. The reliability will be less. Is that? The reliability will be less. Is that? Bank confirmation report from Harvard bankers means you are getting the this is the external. Is it? It is the external. Here we are getting what? Here we are getting directly from the bankers. Is it? Here we are getting directly from the bankers. Is it? The reliability will be more. Verbal communication will be very weak. Is it? Verbal communication is, we have to put it in order. Cash count carried out by the audit junior. Is it? Fine. If you are saying that it has been done by the audit junior, is it? At least it is also it is not from internal, it is from external. Fine. It is from the external. Now, which of the orders of reliability starting from the most reliable first? Most means the most specific. Is it right? Getting the bank confirmation. Is it right? Cash count. See what they say. Cash count carried out by the junior auditor. Bank reconciliation. What is the most effective one? Is that bank reconciliation? They are talking about the first one is a bank reconciliation carried by the cashier, and the last one is verbal instructions. Is it right? If you take into consideration the most reliable one is what? We are talking in terms of what? The bank confirmation. There is more weightage, is it right? Bank balances at the end of the year will make the things very, very specific. Is it right? You have the bank reconciliation. Is it right? You have the bank confirmation. Then first you take external. Okay, the first you take external. This is the second one. And you will get the count done by the auditor. Is that? Then a reconciliation carried out by the cashier, and the most weakest part is what? You are talking about the verbal confirmation. Is that? Verbal communication is the least important. Is it right? Audit evidence from the independent third parties is more reliable. Is it? Who are the third parties? Third parties are the banks. Is that third? Followed by the evidence generated by the auditor. Verbal audit evidence is the least reliable one. If you understand this one, almost we are thorough with the concepts. Is that? We are thorough with the concepts. Now, so what sources of evidence could the auditor use? Is it right? Now, information prepared by the see what happens in terms of I told you are doing an audit for, very simple, you are doing an audit for Oman Air. Okay, when you do the audit for Oman Air, what you will do? You know financial audit, as simple as that. You don't know technical audit, you don't know aviation audit. Is it right? Aviation audit you don't know the technical audit. These things you will not know the aircraft audit, as simple as that, very simple. Before the aircraft will take off and the moment it will land up, immediately there will be checklist will be there, that they will checklist, they will do all the things, whether it is appropriate or not. We are not specialized in those areas, but in those areas what we will do, we will take the help of whom? We will take the help of the expert. Information prepared by management expert is having a more reliable. Information produced by the entity. When you are produced by the entity, it has to be supported with what? It has to be supported with records. Auditor generated information, definitely. You are personally involved in getting the evidence. It is more reliable. prior audits, last year audits, is it right? Last year audits. These audits are what? These audits are certified, is it right? These are the certified, approved, is it right? Approved audit reports. These are more reliable, is it right? These are more reliable compared to unaudited reports. Is a evidence from the external third parties. This we have done, is it right? The external third parties, specifically with respect to banks, specifically with respect to inventory, is it right? Specifically with respect to non-current assets, is it non-current? See, you have the banks, you will get the closing balances. You have the inventory. Sometimes what will happen? Inventory will be in other location. Okay, it's not happen. It's you will have those type of question. Inventory will be in other location. If that is the case, definitely you have to get the confirmation. Non-current assets, is it right? Non-current assets. You will have non-current assets in other locations. That you will have to get the from external parties in terms of what? In terms of receivables. For us it is a receivables, for them it is a payable. As we are receiving for the receivables, we are also responsible to give for payable, because my payable balance and my client receivable balance should be equal. Okay, there should not be any difference between these two balances. That is why we always make sure that we will have the evidence from the external third parties. Now you are talking about one by one. You are clearing the things. Is that management expert is an expert in specific area. Okay, possessing the expertise. Is that expertise in the field of what? Expertise any field. Is that sometimes what will happen? I told you expertise in banking also. If you take telecommunication, is it right? Telecommunication, you should have some experts who know the technicalities of telecommunication, information technology, tourism industry, hospitality industry. Got my point? Aviation industry, automobile industry. You take anything. Cement industry. Is that? See, we are knowledgeable to the extent of financial factors, but we are not knowledgeable with respect to the technical factors as such. In the field of auditing, whose work is used by the entity to assist in the preparation of financial statement. Who are the people? Who are the experts? Experts will, with respect to what? Surveyor. Is it right? Property valuation. Is that? He knows better than the auditor. Actuaries, pension calculations. Is that? Pension calculations, insurance calculations. Is it right? If you are there, definitely what you will do, they use the word called as, they are specialists. Okay, they are specialists in framing the models. Is that? Lawyers, we have some, any legal litigations, any legal issues are there, then we have to take the opinion of the lawyers as such. Those are called as management expert. If information produced by management expert is used as audit evidence, the what means, if you are using any information prepared by whom? Prepared by the expert. Is it? Prepared by the expert. Evaluate what we have. See, we cannot say that our job is over. No, we are responsible. We are only taking the taking the support of the auditor. What is our job? Our job is evaluate the competence, whether that person is capable, is qualified. Is it right? He is qualified to do the things, have the experience to do the things. The moment you are hiring an expert, you have to know, is it right? Whether he is qualified, he is experienced, and he is having the skills, capabilities.
Mister,
Yes.
who will evaluate the competence?
The auditor will do.
Okay.
Is it? The auditor. See, there are limitations. Okay, there are limitations. I'm not saying that there are no limitations. But when you are assume you are appointing, you are doing an audit for an automobile industry. Fine. When you do an automobile for other industry, what you will do? Your judgment will there. How they will appoint you. You will also see the market conditions. You will get the proposals. Who are the experts? You will see the profile. Yes, these people are experienced, these people are qualified, and these people are specialized. Then based on that, the auditor will take the help, and those people will do the audit on behalf of the auditor. Okay, those people will do the audit on behalf of the auditor as well. This is where we are. This is the way. This is a point where the the auditors will use the support of the experts as such. Next, when you are doing the things, you will say that you will have the obtain an understanding of the work done. You will not take only the from the expert that this has been done, and subsequently we will without reviewing, isn't it? You will review it. That's very important. Whenever you get the report from the expert, what you will do, you will understand. Yes, this is the way the expert has been done the job, and this job is going to make some positive impact, and we can rely on this job as such. Is that we can rely on this job as such? Is that this is the way you are going to get the obtain an understanding of the work done. Evaluate the procedures. Is it right? Evaluate the appropriateness of the work done. Means you are not going blindly. Is it? You are not going just blindly that the auditor has done the job. Is it right? You will see whether it has been done appropriately, rightly, sufficient and appropriate. Getting over? Sufficient and appropriate means you will see the quality also. You will make your judgments. I'm not saying that your judgment will be complete, but you will make sure that to the extent possible you are convinced about the evidence provided by the expert. Are you clear about this? Now, yeah, now you have a very simple understanding, is it right? Information produced by the entity. See what happens. You are going for an audit. The information is produced by the entity. Obviously, during the audit, the auditors will have to use We have to use the information provided by the entity. In terms of what? In terms of financial accounts. Okay. In related to what? Related to, I will write it, related to financial statements. They need to evaluate whether it is sufficiently reliable for the purpose of audit. As simple as this involves getting evidence about what is the accuracy and what is the completeness. Complete accuracy means definitely we are making sure that we will see the sequence numbers. Is it right? We'll see the sequence number. We see the date wise. Is that? We see the totaling. Is it right? We'll make our accuracy in terms of what? Accuracy in terms of we will do the totals. Is it right? We do the totals individually and we'll do the totals aggregately. Is it right? We will see the completeness. Is it? We see the completeness in terms of as on date. Is it right? As on date, whether they have entered all the vouchers or not. Is it right? These things, these are the information provided by the entity. This could be through the signature by the senior member of the staff. Always make it a point. What they will say, you have to make sure that a senior member has to sign. Is that a senior member has to sign? That's very important. Without the review of a senior member, the reliability of the audit evidence is less. Is that you? We have to write in the answers. I'm telling you, these are the keywords. You have to write this in the answer. If we bank reconciliation is done, bank reconciliation is done by the junior staff. It has to be reviewed by the senior staff. It has to be reviewed by the finance director. It has to be reviewed by the, is that you, one person from the senior management has to review it. Without that, the audit, the information provided by the entity will have less reliability. We also need to evaluate whether there is a sufficiently precise and accurate. Accurate, the moment you are talking about accurate, accurate is only with respect to what totals. The first thing what you will do, for what you have to do is go there and just anything, do the totals. That automatically you can understand. It means why we are doing, we are starting from the simplest task and we will make the task more stringent. Okay? If the basics are good, automatically you will find it easy. Otherwise, if basics are not that much effective, basic totals I'm saying, then what will happen? Definitely you will find that there is a risk is high. Is it right? That is the reason always make sure that you are talking in terms of accuracy. This will, what does it mean? Is that it means that you are recasting. Recasting. Is that recasting is nothing but again you are retotaling. For example, is that you could be what they say that you will be asked about the management, you will asked to explain about the management expert is provide with respect to what is the role of the management expert. When management experts provides the report, you are taking the help of the management expert with respect to some specific issues. Then what you have to do, you have to make sure that this is the point. Evidence should be evaluate the completeness, capabilities and the objectivity. You have to get the understanding of the work done by the expert. You have to evaluate the appropriateness of the work done as a audit evidence. Is that they will be asked if the in the section B, a management expert could be used by an entity and could be asked which factors do you consider before relying on the work done by the management. In specimen paper, they are talking about true and false also. Is it right? When placing reliance on the work of an expert in the following statements, in order to place reliance, the auditor is required to evaluate the work performed by the expert. Is that you have to evaluate? That's what it says. You should not take anything on its face of the paper. Is it right? You cannot take. You have to evaluate. Auditors must evaluate. Underline this. This is the second standard we are going to cover in this session. The first one is audit evidence. The second one is ISA 620. Using the work of an audit expert. Is that audit evidence is 500. See, I am telling you very specifically. See, my knowledge is I will make it sure, but you should list out the things and see the difference. Every day you post it on the group. You have to now you start discussing on the group. It's very, very important. You see the difference. You will see the change. You will see the change. The WhatsApp group is not for me. The WhatsApp group is for you to have discussions. If anything is there, then I will intervene. If everything is going fine, I will not intervene. Okay, any doubts are there. The more you get the doubts, the more the things will be clear for you. Is that? Now, 620 is what? The use of the work of the audit expert as such. Fine. One of the questions it has been given. Is that? Now, this is section B. Okay, this is with respect to section B. How many marks they gave you? They gave you 4 marks. Got it? They gave you 4 marks. That's maximum 8 marks, not more than that. In this section, is it right? 7 A, B, C, D. I think 4 subdivisions are there. Is it right? 4 subdivisions. You are the audit manager of Daffy Company and you are briefing your team on the approach to adopt in undertaking the review of financial finalization of the audit. Before you go, even if I miss, you have to remind me. First, you have to read the question. Describe the factors Daffy and company should consider when placing the reliance on the work of a independent valuer. Capabilities. Is it right? You have to make sure that they are capable or not. Is it? What they are saying? What are the factors you should consider when you are thinking that yes, that is the you ask me that how you are going to appoint an expert on what basis. Is it right? During the audit, in particular, your audit senior is unsure about the steps to be taken in relation to uncorrected misstatements. We are not sure how we have to proceed. During the audit of mini company, the following uncorrected statements has been noted. The property balance was revalued during the year by an independent valuer. The property balance has been revalued. Is that when you are doing the revaluation? See, there is one concept. Is it right? It is IFRS 13. Is it right? You little bit you should know this. Okay. Unfortunately, you got exemptions. That is the reason. But technically, you have to know the reporting standard. IFRS 13 talks about fair value. What has been done? The property balance was revalued during the year by the independent expert valuer and the error was made in relation to the assumptions. See, when you are making the revaluation, we have to make sure, is it a policy that every year it is done? It is a policy that all non-current assets are being done. Is it right? See, that is what it is a year-end consistent policies. Is it? Is it a year-end consistent policy? Now, all non-current assets have been revalued. Is it a policy or non-current asset revaluation? It is a policy, you have to check. Is it? Now, we will do this at a later stage. What they are saying that, what are the different factors? What I say, whenever you appoint an auditor, an expert, okay, the independent valuer falls under the category of they should be expert in their field. They have to, that's what, is that the one which you have done. They should have, see, we are not talking in detail, is it right? There should be competence, that is the qualification. They should have experience and they should have the objectivity. What we are doing, is it right? Focused. They should obtain an understanding of the work done and evaluate the work done of the auditor. This we have done in one of the previous slide. Is it? In one of this slide. Is it? Where we have done? We have done in audit evidence 7. Is it right? In audit evidence 7, we have, this is the same, this is the audit reference. Is a reference to audit evidence 7. What we have to do, they are giving you, as just now, I think Faisal asked me, on what basis we will appoint an expert, is that the auditor should consider the qualification. As simple as that, is it right? Qualification. That is the basic thing we can do of the valuer. And whether they have a relevant and reliable purpose for the work done on, means they have done any related, is right? They are talking in terms of what they are all other apart from this, they will say that they are having any experience with respect to evaluation of property. The auditors must consider whether independent valuer is independent. Means again, see, external auditor has to be independent, the expert has to be independent. They should not be under any ethical threats as such. Is that in terms of what? In terms of self-interest and in terms of familiarity and so. Yeah, the auditor also needs to review the work done by the valuer. That's what it says, including whatever the work done by the expert, the auditor has to review it. Is it right? Okay, we don't have that much knowledge. At least we are reviewing it on what basis? At least we are reviewing on the basis of the principles. Is that if you have discussing the work with the valuer, if anything is there, most important thing you should have it. See, whenever you come across this type of questions, these are the easy marks to score. Okay, these are the easy marks. You put a point, that discussion with the management, discussion with the expert. Is it right? Discuss, the moment you say discussion in the end or wherever it is appropriate. Is it? If you say, don't say wherever is appropriate, be specific. One of the points, second point, third point, discuss the things with the expert. Discuss the things with the people charged with governance, related to inventory, related to non-current assets, is right? Related to cash. The moment you say discuss, straight away you will get at least what relevant one mark you will get, because these are the basic things you will understand. By the time you complete the lecture subject, you will have the thing. Is it? Now, what is that? This is the first segment. Okay, this is what we are talking in terms of what? This is the things we are talking in terms of audit evidence. Is it? Audit evidence, how it is going to be worked. The second part, when we do the things, is it? We are talking about assertions. Is it? What are the assertions? Audit evidence is required to support assertion. Means you have to make sure that this is exist. Assert, yes, I am convinced. Understand me? I am convinced with the evidence. Got my point? I am convinced with the evidence as such. As simple as that. People find this concept difficult, students, but in reality this is most easiest one. Is it? Understand what assertion means. You have to assert, you have to be very, very specific. Unless until you will not have a sufficient and appropriate evidence, you cannot give a positive way to go further, proceed. But what are the financial, the representation by the, is it right? What it says assertions, it says that from the financial statement point of view, the representation from the management, explicit or otherwise, especially, is it like there is no general statements. Is it right? There is no general statement, explicit, specifically. They are embedded in the financial statement as used by auditor to consider the different types of potential misstatements they may occur. Okay. Assertions means very specific, explicit. They are embedded with the way it has to be considered, related to the financial statements, that the potential misstatements may occur. Means you have to make sure that these things are right. Is that these things are very specific. Now, another one, we have done this previously, is that auditors requires, what is IS 315? Tell me please fast. IS 315. Last class you told me.
Identify the risk of material misstatement, something like that.
No, it is not something like that. You have to tell me specifically. Refer it. I am giving you option. If you have the notes in front of you, just refer. Anyone, four of you.
Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement
Mistake.
through understanding the entity and its environment.
Exactly. Understanding the entity and its environment. Okay. Please, you have to write it and post it on the group. The must use assertions, is right? In terms of what? Slowly, in the beginning, you will not get that much clarity. By the time you go further and further, you will get more clarity. Okay? Don't get in a panic mode that what? There are classes of transaction in events. Is that in the statement of profit? We are talking in terms of profit and statement of profit and loss account. Is it right? We are talking in terms of what? In terms of statement of financial position. Is it? Classes of transactions. What are the classes of transactions? You will have the sales. Is it right? You will have the purchases. What are the things we'll say sales? You are talking in terms of what? You are talking in terms of expenses. We are talking in terms of depreciation. Is it right? That much. We are not going beyond that. Taxation will never ever have any influence here. No, we don't have any question on taxation. Okay? See, we are just what are the things that matters is, yeah, again I have forget to write it. We are talking in terms of what? Provisions. Account balances. Account balances is with respect to cash. Account balances with respect to inventory. Account balances with respect to receivables. Is it right? Account balances with respect to payables. Account balances with respect to non-current assets. Is it right? These are the various different ways of having the account balance. Now, when you do the thing, this is where we are talking about the assertion in terms of statement of financial position, in terms of statement of profit and loss account, and how you are making a presentation and its disclosure. Now you see the classes of transactions. Is that what are the financial statement assertions and what are the explanations? See, when you are talking about the classes of occurrence, events has been occurred in terms of what? In terms of sales, in terms of purchases. Is that in terms of sales, in terms of purchases? Transaction even that has been recorded have occurred or pertaining to the entity. See, unless until sales is not incurred, sales is not generated, they will not have any leads to receivables. If you don't have, you cannot have any receivables, definitely it will have impact on cash. Similarly, is it right? Purchases will be have impact on payables. Purchase will have impact on bank payments. When you have the cash, I will use cash or bank. What will happen immediately? Immediately you are concerned about what? You are concerned about bank reconciliation. Now you can understand, we are just talking a very simple concept of sales. We are talking about a simple concept of purchases, but it will have impact on so many different transactions. It has to be occurred, then only you should record it. If it is first, you should know whether the occurrence is there or not. How you will see occurrence? You will see what are the vouchers are there. Is it right? You will see the invoice, whether invoice exists. You match the invoice. Is it right? You match the purchase order with the purchase invoice. You will match the sales order with the sales invoice. Is that you will match that? Then only what will happen? What you will do? I'm putting you. What you will do? You will say the sales order with sales invoice. Is that you will what will happen? Sales dispatch. Is it sales acknowledgement? Is it sales acknowledgement? You see the thing. I will go further. This limit is endless. Is it right? Sales acknowledgement. When you have the sales acknowledgement, what will happen? You will make it the cash received. Is it right? You will sales acknowledgement. Then you will put it as a receivables. Is it? Then you will put as a cash receipt. Is it? Then what you will do in the end, you will do what? In the end, you will do reconciliation. If you see only for occurrence, see the thing. What is very important, we should know the flow, how it will happen. Unless again, when you are placing a sales order, there are rules. It's not, we cannot say that we can do. You have to place the order from where? From the people who are registered with you, suppliers, registered vendors, is right? Registered, who are the registered to whom we are selling it, is it right? Purchasing, when you are purchasing, you have to purchase from the registered listed people. We cannot purchase from XYZ, is it right? As an auditor, you will do the same job. Understand? You will do the same job. The process will happen. Now, why people find it difficult is, you should, unless you don't know the process, you will find it really tough. If I miss one of the process, I'm not saying whatever written is right. Maybe whatever I have written, maybe they need corrections, but the flow has to be there. Your cash receipts should be there after receivables only. Is it right? That's all. Cash should not come before receivables. Your reconciliation after cash receipts only, 100%. Automatically it will make sense. Okay, we'll do this extensively. This is the biggest chapter we are going to cover. Completeness. All events and all transactions and events should have been recorded. Is that you should have a completeness. How you will see completeness? You will have sequence check. Is that you will have sequence check? Is that how you will see that it is complete or not? You will see the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like that. If the numbers has to be generated automatically and the numbers has been sequence. If you do that, it means that there is a completeness. Is it? There is a complete. Now, what is accuracy? What I told you, amounts or other data recorded transactions or events have been recorded appropriately. Is it? Appropriately you have to record it. You have to total it. Very simply. You should not have any errors as such. Is it? Accuracy it should be done in the way it has to be reflected. Cutoff. Cutoff is nothing but in terms of what? In terms of time. Date. Is it? Time. More importantly, more than time, it is date. At the end of each month, at the end of the year. We are very much concerned about cutoff as on December 31st. Classification is whether we have done what I told you about the classification, whether it has been done in sales, it has to be recorded in sales. If it is done in purchases, it has to be done in purchases. Is it right? If you are talking about classification, if you are talking about the expenses, it has to be shown in the expenses. Transactions and events have been recorded in the proper accounts. Financial statement assertions.
Mister,
Yes, please.
can you repeat again occurrence?
Occurrence is, see, whether sales has been happened or not. Any activity, you take sales, you take purchases. Is it basically two things? Purchases of current assets, purchases of inventory, purchases of inventory, purchases of non-current assets, anything. Occurrence. How assume an auditor will say that I have purchased this laptop. Got my point? What you will ask from the auditor? You will ask that, okay, fine, you show me the sales invoice. Fine, you say so. Now you will ask, what is the, before sale invoice, you will ask that where is the sales order? What you want, what is your purpose? Your purpose is to get the evidence. You want to know the evidence with the sales invoice. Okay, fine. If you are paid by check or you are paid by bank. If you are paid by check, you will see that you have in the bank statement it has been recorded or not. Is it in the bank statement it is recorded? Now what you are matching the things. You are matching the sales invoice. One side you are matching with the sales order. You are matching the sales invoice with the payment. If both are being matched, it is sufficient appropriate evidence. Got it? Both are. If it is, you want more, is it right? Then we will say that yes, I will make sure that where is the receipt of this. Okay, fine. You are telling that you have purchased it. You have shown it. Where is the receipt? I want some more evidence. Occurrence, whether it has been occurred or not. That is the purpose of getting the evidence as such. Say purchases. Fine, you are saying that I am purchasing. You will say that yes, from who you say that where is the purchase order. Fine, where is the payables? You will match purchase order with the receipt, is it right? Purchase order with the purchase invoice, purchase order. You will say that yes, who has received it, is it right? Who has recorded it. You have to make, when you are talking about purchases, you will say it is payables. When you are talking about the payables, then you will see whether it has been recorded in the bank statement. Again, when you are recording in the bank statement, you will do reconciliation. You will do reconciliation. The moment you are doing reconciliation, you will see how it is going to be worked out. Got my point? Occurrence is like that. Is it okay with you?
Yes, clear.
Fine. Very important. The moment you these things we will apply. Is it? Financial statement assertions. Is it financial statement assertions? It will be repeated. Some will be added, some will be deleted. Occurrence, completeness, accuracy, cutoff and classification. Is it right? They will write like this. They will write like this. Is it right? We can do also like this. Nothing will happen. Is it right? They'll say that OCACC. Occurrence, completeness, accuracy, cutoff and classification. Is it right? If you are making like this, it will make occurrence, completeness, accuracy, cutoff and classification. Fine. Next. Account balances at the period end. Is it account? When we are talking about account balances, what are the account balances? We are talking in terms of assets, we are talking in terms of liabilities, we are talking in terms of equity interest. Existence has to be there, is it right? You are going to say that what are the financial assets in terms of what? In terms of account balances. There are so much differences there. There should not be any confusion. Is it right? I will tell you how to write this. Is it right? I will post it on the group. Okay. And in the similar way, whatever I am posting it, I will post it at the beginning of every class. Understand? I will post it at the beginning of every class. The same thing I will copy paste it. You have to read it. You have to come back it. Is it? Now, when you are talking about account balances, is it what are the account assets? Assets should exist, is it right? Assets should exist. If the assets are existing, then only assets will be valuation. If assets don't exist, you should know, inspect. You should go and inspect that the assets are physically present or not. You have to exist. Liabilities are there. See, unless it is a liability, you are not going to pay. Is it right? Liability should be there in the financial statements. Then only there will be a payment. I told you that we are going to have the confirmation. Isn't it? We are going to have the confirmation from the third parties. From the third parties. When you have the confirmation from the third parties, what will do? Assume you are talking in terms of what? You are talking in terms of payables. Payables will be matched with receivables. This is the account balances at the year end. Existence is there. Yes, payables are for the client, isn't it? Payables are 1,500. For you, the receivables will be 1,500. Existence. If this is existence, then they will be expecting some cash. Neither it will be more nor it will be less. Less will be there minus provisions. It means what? Receivables 1,500 means it is existed in the financial statements at the end of the year. Assets, existence has to be there. Without physical assets, you cannot make valuation. Is it right? See, when you are talking about the non-current asset register, we'll use the word register. Is it right? We use the word. If it is in the register, then it will be in the financial statements. Existence. Is it? That is the reason. Now, okay. Any doubt is there? You ask me. You ask me. I am here. Now, what they say, they are talking about the rights and obligation. Okay, you say that you are talking about the non-current assets. Is it right? Whether you are owning, you own, or you have taken it on rent, or you have taken it on a lease. It is the right. Understand? Rights and obligation. What is the obligation? That's very simple. Whether you have taken it on lease or you have taken it on a borrowing. On loan borrowing. Is it right? Is it? You have borrowed the loan and you have purchased that. You want to know the entity holds or controls the rights of the assets. Is that you have the right? Is that somebody is saying that you will say that you have to receive 1,500, but the person who is going to pay, he will say that he will going to pay 1,400. It happens. Is it right? It happens in most of the cases. Is that fees? Is it right? Fees by the students and fees by the institution, there will be some differences. Is it right? Automatically, what you will do? What you will see? You will provide evidence. You will provide evidence that during this time I have paid this much fees. These are my receipts. Assume they will not rely on receipts. Then what you will do as evidence? You will show the bank statement. See, this is the bank statement. This is the evidence that I have paid my fees. I have paid my fees in your account. Automatically external evidence. First you will show internal evidence what you are having. If it is not accepted, then you will show external evidence by the bank. Understand? This is the way the things has to progress. Completeness. All assets and liabilities and equity have been recorded as recorded. Should have been recorded, have been recorded. All the apps by 31st it has to complete. Is that there should not be that there should be some incompleteness. And most importantly, valuation. We have just learned this. Experts. Is that you have to do valuation. Is that when you are talking about the valuation, what will happen? You will take the cost. Is it right? You will calculate the depreciation. You will show it as a net assets. Is it? You are talking about the current assets. Is that you will take in current assets? One of the current assets is receivables. Receivables minus provisions. You will make it there. What are the net receivables? Allocation, we have allocated rightly or not, is it? Balances at the end of the year are 4, is it right? Balances at the end of the existence, is it right? And obligations, is it right? Completeness and valuation and allocation. You make sure of that. You will get 8 marks very easily. Is that 8 marks? In the exam, in the weekend quiz, I will give you this. Is that next weekend quiz? Now, presentation and disclosure. Is it presentation and disclosure? Financial state. See, when you are making a presentation in the financial statement, is it right? When you are making presentation in financial statements, definitely what will happen? It has to occur. Is that it has to occur? You should have the right and you should have the obligation. Then only you will show it in the financial statements. Occur, disclose event, transaction matters occurred pertaining to what? Pertaining to the equity. It has to be complete. Is it right? When you are showing in the financial statements, it should be all disclosures should be included. All should be included in the financial statements, as it has to be included. Means you should not have incompleteness, should not be there. As on date, is it right? As on date as such. Classification understand is appropriately presented and disclosures are clearly expressed. What are the disclosures? Disclosures is nothing but the notes to the accounts. Is that notes to the accounts? Any summary, is it right? Anything which is related to the some brief information, is that you have to disclose it with not only the policy but also with the calculations. Is that you are talking in terms of policy and procedures, policy as well as the procedures. Policy is the theoretical one, procedures are the calculative one. And we have done in terms of what? Accuracy and valuation. Financial and other options should be fairly at the end of the appropriate. What is the presentation and disclosure? I am writing it. Occurrence, right and obligations. Okay. It talks about what? Completeness. It is talking about classification and understandability. And more importantly, accuracy and valuation. See, I am saying you this. I don't want to keep you in a comfort zone. This requires some effort. Okay, make it sure. Presentation, yes, when you are presenting occurrence and rights and obligations. Because see what happens, some are included in one, some are excluded in one. Why there is a difficulty, is it? Because you don't know where is where. Okay, that is the reason there will be some confusion whenever you are going through this. For everyone it happens. Even for me it happened. For everyone it happens in the same way. Is it? For financial statement assertion relevant to account balances. What are the account balances? Existence, rights and obligations, completeness and valuation and allocation. Is it right? Write down here. Is it right? It is there. 1 minute, we'll see. Yeah. Is it? It is the same thing has been repeated. First, how you have to approach it. Note the requirements. What are the 4 financial statements? Secondly, you must explain them. See, this is what I observed. This is where you should make some improvement. Structurally you are writing. The moment you say explain, just don't give a skeleton present. I'm not talking about everyone, is it? And I'm not talking about specific one also. I'm giving you my general observations. When they ask anything, explain 1 or 2 sentences. In your own words, that's very occurrence. in terms of existence, in term likewise one or two sentences you have to make. Explain what you have to do. Assume, see how you have to explain. I will write. You will say that rights and obligations. Is it? Put rights and obligations like this. Put one underline this. Then you write down. Two sentences. The first sentence is the concept. Is it right? The second sentence should be a small example. This is nothing but explanation. Is that explanation? Discuss means you can discuss left, right side. You can say yes or no. But explain means you explain the concept. One small example. Is that fine? So simply writing down 4 financial statements will not get you full marks. Finally, most important, the financial statement assertions require those related to account balances only. Is that what are the account balances? The existence. See, they have not mentioned here. Is that explanation? Assets, liability, equity, and interest value. Is that you make it a point. What I am talking about. You add example. The non-current assets should exist with both physically and monetary values. Is it? We are saying what are the assets? Is it right? The assets is a non-current assets. Is that should confirm. You have to confirm. Is it right? The ownership or lease or rent. Is it to ensure? Is it to ensure that they have the right over the non-current assets? Likewise, is it? You just here they have not mentioned. They gave explanation. Fine. Just you write one small example. Completeness. All liabilities and liens should have been recorded. Is that completeness as on the date of preparation? Is it? Assets, liability, non-current assets. Is it right? Has been valued by experts if needed. This much you add. See, as simple as that. We are doing very, very simple. I'm telling you, you are adding some spice. Okay, that's all. Is it right? This is just you have a burger without ketchup. What will happen? Yeah, it will definitely give you some additional weightage. Each mark is important. Here today results came. 2 people passed. 1 person got 50 out of 100. Exactly 50. It's a lifeline. Both the people passed. Whoever I thought last semester. Is it? That's what it says. See, just 50 marks. He got. You get 50. You got 70. You got 90. No difference at all. But those 3 hours, you should not leave anything unturned. Inshallah. Okay. Now you have the concept. What we have learned. We have talking about financial statement assertions. We are talking about the account balances assertions. We have talking about the presentation and disclosure. Is it? We have talked about the audit evidence. What it makes the good audit evidence. If it is return, it will be more reliable. If it is external, it is more reliable. We have linked audit evidence to the financial statement. Now we need to understand how we have to get the evidence. How you are getting the evidence? That's why we say that okay, we have to get written evidence, we have to get external evidence. But what is the procedure you should adopt? Is that what is the procedure we need to adopt to understand to get the relevant audit evidence? Is that? Now, what are the relevance? You have the two things. One is test of control, both are separate. Understand point? Both are separate. And there is a thin line of difference between test of controls and substantive procedures. In the beginning, I will say, you will have the controls, you will test these controls only. Whereas substantive procedures are detailed procedures. Is it what you will do? You will see what is the accuracy. Is it right? You are talking in terms of what? Completeness. Is it right? You will see what is the rights and obligations. Is it right? Rights and obligation. You will see what is the valuation. Is it right? What is the valuation? Is it substantive detail? Is it? Now, test of control is, you have the control. Assume you are saying that a person will prepare. Is it right? Prepare the bank reconciliation statement. Okay. And it is going to be reviewed by the senior manager. It is the control. Okay. This is called as a control. Now, you will inspect, you will observe whether a person has been doing and it is reviewing. You will see the signature on the BRS that the senior person has been signed. Is it? This is the test of control. There is a control in place. You will go to the test of control. Is it? See, audit evidence, get my word? See, I am very clearly putting this. Audit evidence, is it right? You will get 4 to 6 marks. Is it? Test of controls, okay? Test of controls or substantive procedures, you will get around 6 to 8 marks. Is it? You will have 10 to how much? 10 to 14 marks. He is dedicated to this. Not only this lecture, you have 7 ABC. Is that 7 ABCD is there? Is that means we will have that thing. But keep it in mind. You got, see how we have started, how we are ending. It's very, very clear. Is that? It's very, very clear. Revise it. It's time to revise. Is that? Test of control is you are testing the controls. Substantive procedures is means you are doing the detailed procedures as such. Fine. Now, they will ask, sometimes they will ask you in 3 marks also. Is it right? Define test of controls and substantive procedures. One question will be there somewhere. Take the word. Okay. Test of performed to obtain evidence. What we are doing in test of controls? We are talking in terms of effectiveness of the controls. Why we are doing this? We want to prevent it, detect it and correct it. Is that? Test of controls are performed to obtain evidence about the effectiveness of the controls in preventing, detecting and correcting material misstatements at the session level. At the beginning only. We are not going to go in the end. At the beginning only, at the assertion level only, we want to make sure that it will happen. Is that? There will be one question will be there. Something which has to be written and so as it is. Is that? Whereas substantive procedures are the audit procedures. Is it? What is the audit procedures? Audit procedures is to recalculate, reperform. Is it right? Inspect, observation. Is it right? These are all the audit procedures which you are going to do. Is it? To detect the material statements. What it says at the assertion level. is it, at the assertion level, and include the test of detail of classes of transactions. Is that we are talking about the, if we talk about the purchases, I told you, purchases, what is the detail procedure is there, sales detail procedure is there, non-current assets, you have a detailed procedures is there. Is that what you are doing? We are talking in terms of procedures, is that details of classes of transactions. You are talking in terms of what we are taking the closing balances, we are talking about the disclosures, and if needed we will do the analytical procedures. What is analytical procedures? Is it right? You will say sales. You will compare sales of current year with the sales of prior year. Analyzing the things. You will see depreciation. Depreciation for the current year, depreciation for the previous year. Now, if the current year depreciation has been increased, last year depreciation is 10,000. Okay, current year depreciation is 12,000. If current year depreciation is increased, it means what? It means new assets has been purchased. Got my point? What is the basic item? New assets. Now the moment you will say new assets are purchased, what is the substantive procedures will do? You will see what is the non-current asset register. In the non-current assets registers, what you will do? You will see what are the additions and what are the deletions. Is it? If there are any additions, the depreciation amount will increase. If there are any deletions, they have been sold, what will happen? The depreciation amount will decrease. Now you understand what is the analytical procedure. Remember, substantive procedures must always be carried out for material classes of transactions. Always there is a substantive procedures. In the examination, they will ask you one question related to this. One question, at least section A, one segment for evidence. Audit evidence, sure. Is it right? They are talking in terms of classes of transactions, balances and disclosures. We'll complete this, okay? We'll complete this and we will stop. Is it? Now what they say, see, this is the, I told you, I'm putting one asterisk mark here. Define. Is that, see what they say only one mark. Understand? By one mark. Now we cannot question also. Is it right? The auditors are required to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Test of controls and procedures can be used to obtain such a, define what is the test of control and what is the substantive procedure. The same thing what has been done is, see, is it has been given here with respect to section B. Work it out. Okay, see, now after this test, last week it has been delayed because still my laptop, I reinstalled it, but still my face camera is not working. I have to check it out. Okay, the thing is, it will be posted and I will give some more exercise, some more quizzes. I will give some more quizzes. Just month of November till 25th or 28th of November, I will be after you. After 25th or 28th, I just slow down the things from my side. I will not pressure you. During that time, you have to relax, you have to revise. Fine? You have to relax and revise. Last few days, I will be in touch with you, but I will not ask you to do anything. Okay? I will just observe how you are revising and working out the things as such. Is it? These are the ways. We will take another 5 minutes. Nothing will happen. Time is there. Is that 8:20 now? Just give me 2 minutes. That's all. Here we will complete this and stop. Here are the ways the external auditors obtain audit evidence. Just now we have done how we will get evidence. Is right? What are the ways of getting the evidence? We will inspect, we will observe, you will inquire, you will get confirmation from the external parties, you will do recalculation, you will reperform it, and you will do the analytical procedures. Is that? We'll make sure you inspect. Inspection can be applied to tangible assets and also to documentation of records. See, somebody will say non-current assets is there. Property is there, plant is there, is it right? Equipment is there. Is it? You have a property, you have a plant, and you have a equipment. What you will do as an auditor, you will inspect a sample. Getting my point? It's very simple. You will go and inspect a sample. You will take the documentation. Is it right? You will take with you the documentation, specification, assets register. Is it right? You will have a non-current assets register is there. With that, what you will do? You physically check. Is it right? Physically check whether the tangible assets are exist or not. Inspection. Fine. Next one. Inspect the intangible assets. That's what it is. Inspection of tangible assets recorded in the books confirms existence, but does not necessarily confirms right. We are not talking about rights and obligation. We are only concerned about what? We are only concerned about existence. Confirmation that assets can be recorded in the accounting records, that is the non-current assets register. Is it right? Accounting records, non-current assets register. This is very important terminology. It gives you evidence of completeness. For sample of assets recorded, see the thing just now. They will say non-current assets register. Physically inspect this and confirm existence. For a sample of physical assets, trace back to the means what's happening. See the thing. What you will do? You will have a non-current asset register. Is it right? You will have a non-current asset register. You have a physical assets. Is it right? Physical assets are there. Now what you will do is that you will do from here to here one process. Is it right? And second process you will do from here to here. Understand? One side you are talking about registered to physical case. Next, physical to non-current assets. Got it? Then only you can say that yes, the evidence is complete. It is the auditor evidence, is it right? It is the auditor's evidence, is it right? And it is more reliable. Is it? Yeah, we complete inspection and we'll leave it off. Okay. Inspection of documents or records can involve both. Is that we are talking about? We are inspecting both internal records and we are inspecting the external records also. We are inspecting what? We are inspecting the records, documents which are in paper mode, which are in which are in paper mode, which are in electronic form or any other form. Is it? This procedure provides evidence of reliability depending on the nature and effectiveness of controls over projects. If controls are effective, definitely the internal evidence will be having more weightage. Is right? More weightage. Inspection of documents or records can provide its existence. Is it? We will see what is the, yes, you have, if you have purchased, definitely you will ask, show the receipt. Is it? But not necessarily the ownership of, we are not talking about the rights and obligations. We are only talking about the inspection. inspect the minutes of the board meetings during the year where they have authorized to purchase new property. Is it? Definitely, it is not a small investment. Is it? You are talking about the property means it's a big investment. Definitely, what will happen? You should know that whether there was a board meeting, it has been decided in the board that it has been held during the period that they have got the approval and subsequently the authorization to purchase the assets. Is that? This is the first segment of inspection. Fine. I will stop here. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will do with respect